In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Platinum President fountain pen. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. Alright, let's get on with the review. Here is the Platinum President pen. Now, this pen was released in 1994, and it's sort of an upgraded version of the Platinum 3776. It is a bit more expensive. I think the original retail price in the United States was like $275 versus $225 for the 3776. Now, Platinum has stopped selling this pen in the United States. They only sell the 3776, but these are still made and available in other markets. And if you look, if you're willing to buy from Japan, you can get one of these for around $130, $140, which is a very, very nice pen for that price. Now, the big differences between the 3776 is that the sort of finial here is more pointy, a bit longer, the same at the end of the tail here. The clip is a little bit more intricate. Cap ring is slightly different. It says President, Platinum, Japan. And the real difference here is the President nib. So you have this nice two-tone nib. You do retain that heart-shaped breather hole, and it's 18 karat gold. I do believe the feeds are different. I don't believe they're interchangeable, but if I'm incorrect about that, please let me know. Now let's look at it compared to a 3776. Now the 3776 has so many different versions, and they've gone through different iterations of the cap band engraving, but the general, shape of the pen and the clip are similar. So you can just see it's a little bit less complicated. I think the President has a better looking clip, and the cap ring has a more premium look to it. The cap also comes down a bit further from the bottom of the cap ring, where it's a bit shorter on the Platinum 3776. In practical use, I don't really feel much of a difference at all between the President 18 karat gold nib and the 14 karat gold nib. If I were to make some judgments, I would say that the 14 karat gold nib is a little bit softer actually than the 18 karat gold nib, which is a bit strange. Now, one other thing I would point out that's kind of interesting, on the 3776, again, you have the same heart-shaped breather hole. 3776 has the Mount Fuji design, whereas the other one has this President design. I think that the Platinum 3776 nib is actually better looking. And one of the things that's interesting is that the Platinum Izumo, their ebonite and urushi and sometimes maki pen, for the longest time used the President nib. They've now modified the design of that nib to be something that suits that Platinum Izumo pen a bit more, but I believe it is still 18 karat gold, whereas Nakaya uses the nibs from the 3776 in 14 karat gold. So kind of interesting there. The higher end pen company Nakaya is using the 14 karat instead of the President nibs. If we look at them side by side, we can also see that the Platinum President is just a hair fatter. In terms of the way that these pens feel, they're really similar. Each feels just as plasticky as the other. So if you've handled, a custom 74 or a Sailor 1911, this is basically the feel there. It's a very classic torpedo shape, very Mont Blanc-like. Not saying that they copied them, but very Mont Blanc-like. Compared to the Mont Blanc Burgundy, this is, I think they call this wine red or something like that. This is a lighter color. It's also lighter than the Sailor Burgundy color, so it has just more of a red look to it, which I do quite like. It does come with a converter, not this one, but it does come with a gold colored converter. It just doesn't have the painting on there. It's a really nice pen. I really enjoy this. If you want a plastic plain Platinum pen, I think I would probably choose it over the 3776 unless there was a nib Like, you can't get a music nib on this, to my knowledge. So I would pick the President over the 3776 just because I think it is a little bit more premium if you're sticking with the standard resin finish and you're not doing any of the more specialty nibs. Now, if you start getting into like the nicer celluloids, like this engraved one, then you're pretty much your only option is the 3776. And to be fair, this is a fantastic pen. The difference between these two is really, really quite small. Now, in terms of measurements here, looking at about 142, 143, capped, uncapped, about 124, posted about 160. Now, in terms of the grip section, about 11.6 at the widest, 10.1 at the narrowest. Now let's compare that with the standard 3776. So at the widest, 10.6, and the narrowest, 9.9. So very similar. Let's see if they're actually interchangeable. I'm kind of curious. They are interchangeable. So this does not actually fit into this one. So even though the barrels are interchangeable, the threading, I think, on the barrel is different. You can see it's shorter on this President. So interesting. Now let's do the weight, 25.6 grams. And just to compare to the 3776, it's like less than a gram difference. Uncapped, 15.6. So this is a very comfortable pen, just like the regular 3776. You know, they're so close to each other. I just think the look of the President is a touch better if you're sticking with the standard finishes. Going to be doing the writing sample on a Papermind Mitsubishi bank paper notebook. These notebooks are excellent with fountain pens, and for Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Platinum President with a fine nib, and this is Cartier Burgundy. That's not spelled right. Anyway, the fast writing, perfect performance. Platinum makes fantastic nibs, really excellent performing nibs, and I think Platinum's fines are some of the nicest out of the other Japanese brands. Now, they are definitely finer than typical Western fines, but you know, they definitely have a high precision feel to them without becoming too scratchy. Like, you know, a Sailor nib can be quite toothy, whereas this is actually quite smooth for how fine it is. In terms of flexibility, there really isn't any. I mean, you get just a touch. This pen is kind of a nail. Not that this is a... So does this have ink in it? Oh, it does. This... Oops. This 3776 feels softer to me, which is my typical experience with having had several Platinum nibs. Reverse writing, it can do it, and it's actually not too scratchy. And yeah, great nib all around. I don't think you'll be disappointed with the performance of this. Just keep in mind that these run a bit finer than typical Western nibs. So what are my pros and cons for the Platinum President fountain pen? Well, this is basically just a slightly upgraded Platinum 3776. So pretty much all of those pros apply to this pen. It's very affordable, it's very comfortable, the performance is excellent, and again, if you are somebody that wants a entry-level gold nib fountain pen in a classic style, you really can't do much better than this. It is a big size, you get a big nib, which you do not get for similar money from Sailor and Pilot. So this is really it, and performance and build quality are completely on par with those other brands. It's a very good quality package here. In terms of cons, there really aren't a lot. You know, this is a very comfortable everyday pen. But what I would say is, one, they stopped selling these in the United States, but they're still readily available in Japan. $130, $40, you can have one of these, which is really excellent. There are not as many finishes. So you get this red wine color, you get black, you get blue, and I believe there's a black with rhodium trim, and there may be some very limited special editions where they do urushi lacquer. When you compare it to the 3776, you can have engraved celluloid like this, regular celluloid, you can have exotic woods, you can have hard rubber or ebonite, sterling silver. There's just way more options here, and you also have the option of a music nib, which you do not get here. The other thing I would say about this pen is I don't personally prefer the look of the Platinum President nib. It is two-tone, which is a pro, but I think that the Mount Fuji 3776 nib is a little bit nicer looking, a little bit more elegant in my opinion. But other than that, this is a fantastic pen. If you want a very classic looking entry-level gold nib pen, you're gonna have a really hard time topping this. That's pretty much it. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.